Welcome to the Outer Realm with MicheleDerocher and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from beautiful city of New Orleans. Fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey since the very beginning. So thank you, Folgers. We wouldn't want to do it without you. Also, thank you, Justice Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his music, his time, and his voice for the intro you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the Halloween genre, horror genre, but does great commission pieces of any type. So tonight, very excited because this is one of my favorite topics. And of course, we welcome back our dear friend and the lovely Constance Victoria Briggs. And the topic, of course, is inner Earth. And boy, there's a whole lot on there. I've researched this for years and always thought, I'm going to do a show on this sometime because it seems to be a thing. People are really, really into it. And all this talk about tunnels all over the place right now, even in the U.S. I think it's just revitalizing some of this, this interest because I'm just seeing it everywhere all of a sudden. So along with this topic, we'll explore some of the theories going back from ancient times to current, ancient civilization, cryptids, extraterrestrials, Admiral Byrd, Antarctica, maybe Malta. There's all kinds of amazing things to touch on. Okay, so I'm just going to touch on everybody here saying hello. Hello, Catherine. Catherine, I responded to your email. I do have a question, so it's in your email. When you can. Also, Z-Sun, hello, Wayne. Oh, well, that's good. Glad you're the first one in. Now, reminder for people on X and Rumble, we can see your comments here on the soundboard. Please don't be shy. I mean, I can see there's a lot of people, getting into both platforms. It's already starting. So just please know, don't be afraid to participate. We love your participation. We love the chat room. You guys make it that much more fun. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road and let's get this exciting topic moving. Constance, hello.
Hello. I hope you can hear me okay.
I can, loud and clear. Beautiful. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you? Thanks for...
Go ahead.
How are you? And thank you for having me.
Oh, always a pleasure having you. We always have so much fun. And I'm well. Can't complain. Just got over this cold. But if you hear me with occasional dry cough, that seems to be the lingering effect, which is just a bit of a thorn in my side, usually when I'm talking too. So anyway, very exciting topic tonight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good one. And guess what? I don't have anyone in the world to talk to about it except you guys.
Oh, no, really?
I'm interested.
Oh my God. No, that's crazy. I've been seeing stuff a lot with things. There seems to be a resurgence since the LA fires and such. People are coming up with the old stories of, like we can touch on that tonight. All of these labyrinths underground under Los Angeles, going back to reptilian, like they believe there have been reptilian sightings, and that's been going on forever. So I'm really looking forward to it because you and I think, share our same brain with this. So I know between us, it's just going to go wild. So
Okay.
I know. You're amongst friends here. Believe
All
you
right.
me, you're in a good place. So hello. There we go. See, you're in the right place. So, where would you like to start with this?
Well, yeah, so let's just get right into it. And just, ask the question, is the earth hollow? So I need to say, I think that saying the earth is hollow is kind of a misnomer. It's not completely hollow.
Right.
It has stuff in it, okay? But it is filled with large areas of cavities, caves, tunnels, openings that go on for miles and miles. So I don't believe that it was completely hollowed out like I think the moon was.
Yeah, you guys have to hit one of our archives to catch Constance's research and book on that. But
yeah. But there's a lot going on in there, other than the possibility of civilizations and cities, which we'll get into. There's a lot of organic things in there. So I think that's kind of a misnomer to say it's completely hollow like the moon. No, right. But it's got something is going on with it. I don't know what happened or how it came, to be the way it was. We have a lot of mysteries in our galaxy, our solar system, our galaxy, our universe. We think we know it all, but we don't know it all, because it clearly, to me, from the research, says that there's something going on inside of Earth. Now, where did that come from? Where did that start? Was it, like this from the beginning? When Earth was first formed? Was it part of what may have been a terraforming of Earth? Well, how did things or beings get inside the Earth? We could say that someone went in there like they did with the moon and, moved things around and hollowed some of it out, Mm-hmm. That's a very, very curious question as to how that came to be. And our scientists don't acknowledge, though, the mysteries, of course. They're just beginning to come out, though, some of them with some interesting information. Yes. So anyway, we have tunnels, caves, cavities, and openings within Earth that go on for miles. It's believed from the research to have a vast network of underground honeycomb-like tunnels that connect many parts of the world. They run deep inside the Earth. Yeah.
Yes. See, I think you'll get science, of course, very academic, but I think we'll all agree here that, especially in the ancient world, because I think it's just people have been there longer, so they're finding more, whereas we're probably just in the onset of a lot of that here. In the West, maybe not so much South America. It's been very well explored because of the Aztec, Mayan, Inca civilizations, and probably we should explore our own indigenous and Native North American communities as well. But we know that there are catacombs everywhere. You got catacombs in England, got catacombs in Europe, Paris, Malta, you name it, they're there. And you have layers upon layers upon layers of like you say, tunnels that go for bloody miles. Who put them there?
Right. And, there's more than what is it they say. There are four layers inside Earth or something. I'm not a scientist, but there's definitely different layers going on where there could be different things going on, different cities, different civilizations, different animals. So, and some researchers have found openings over the years into inner Earth. I've heard about. I don't know where this person got the number, and I'll bring him up soon. But about 305 openings is believed to go into inner Earth, and people don't know that. You talk about such a thing, talk about inner Earth, and they just laugh at you and there's just no way, but it is way.
Yeah. It's crazy, but it's there.
But what's interesting is I just want to say that the idea of a hollowed world, or I don't even know how to say it, because I say inner Earth, the hollow inner Earth, or inner Earth, because of my research on the moon, I really think, like I said, that was cleared out. But this has things like, we'll get into it, but oceans and mountains and plains and things like that inside of the Earth, just like we have on top. So that's why I said, it's not completely hollow. But the idea that there are cosmic bodies that are hollowed out or have huge cavities is a recurring role, from what I can see, in our universe, because we talk about Earth having it, the moon is hollow, and Mars' moon Phobos is believed to be hollow, with beings living inside of it. And who knows what if there are asteroids out there, etc., that may be inhabited with beings living inside the planetary body. And the other thing is that it's been said that we are living inside out when it comes to living on the surface of Earth. That there's a good chance that either people started in inner Earth or went into inner Earth due to the dangers of living on the surface of a planetary body, because of the radiation and disasters that can wipe out whole civilizations, warring animals. So it's safer actually to live inside of a planet.
Well, I think with natural disasters and such, you get story like the Hopi, who communicated that the ant people, the big-eyed ant people that came from under the ground, literally brought them underground to survive, a cataclysm. And they still talk about this as part of their oral history, that it will happen again. And the same thing happened, I believe, in South America. I think it was Peru, during, again, some kind of a disaster, but it was a reptilian being who brought them underground and educated them and helped take care of them. So this is definitely a thing, because it's not like when you have a cataclysm, chances are you're going to be down there for quite some time. If natural, like a flood, let's say.
That's right. And flood, and who knows, maybe there's some nefarious beings out there at that time, in the ancient times and today, why not, that, might want to, do something with planet Earth or humanity or the animals, and, be coming through. So, you want to protect yourselves. People want to protect themselves from everything. So that's why they say that we're living inside out. So anyway,
I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that. I think there are a lot of civilizations that are still underground, which is obviously something we're going to talk about.
Right. Right.
So, okay. So let's continue.
Okay. So the topography of inner Earth. I go back and forth, guys, between hollow Earth and inner Earth, so excuse me. So, I've got some notes here, some handy-dandy notes, because there's a lot of information.
Yes.
So there are scientists that have come forward with data on the topography of inner Earth, and who would have thought that would be such a thing, right? Well, it is. So they've learned that that the inside, at least, whatever layer this is, very similar to Earth. And so there are mountains.
Yes.
There are mountains there higher than our tallest mountains on Earth.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And there are rugged plains. There are also smooth plains. Massive mountain ranges, I said that. Immense valleys. These areas are located, they've measured it somehow, 660 kilometers, approximately 410 miles beneath the Earth's surface. They have found these mountain ranges.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's very interesting. All right. The other thing is, guys, and I've been listening to the news recently, and I know one scientist came out and said, "Oh, we found an ocean." I don't know if you heard it. We found an ocean under Earth, right? But I I wrote my book, Earth Galactic History, in 2023, and I didn't call it an ocean, but I did say that they have recently found a massive amount of water in inner Earth, and the amount of water they say is down there equals more than all of the oceans and seas and large bodies of water on Earth combined.
Mm-hmm.
There's more water down there than on the surface. And where there's water, there's life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. I mean, some of these places have entire ecosystems.
Yes. Whoops.
So, yeah. So, okay.
Let's do it for a sec, okay?
Yeah, go ahead, darling. Go ahead.
So, there's this organization, I guess, called the Order of Melchizedek. Okay. I don't know much about them. All right, I looked them up, and they're this priestly order that Jesus is said to have belonged to. But anyway, I'm not getting religious here at all.
But very interesting, though. I'm with you. I'm following along. I got you.
They had an amazing quote online that I wanted to share with you guys when I was doing my research. They put this out there. They said, now that the scientists, now that they are admitting there is an ocean beneath the surface of the Earth, will they eventually admit to the inner Earth civilizations? Will they admit that there's a sun in the Earth's core and an atmosphere for those that dwell within? That would mean they'd have to admit that much of the science of our planet given to us for the past few hundred years was fabricated. I thought those were very good questions that we put out there, because if they're going to talk about the water, and we'll get to the sun in a minute, actually, then they're going to have to admit to other stuff too.
And we know that's not going to happen. So.
Well, it's slowly trickling out. So like so many other things that are going on in this world with the extraterrestrials and the UFO, what's going on in the oceans. And now you and I are discussing the inner Earth.
Maybe it'll be part of disclosure, Constance. Maybe they'll have to go underground because they're there, right?
Right. It really is beginning to look like there is a sort of convergence coming.
Yes. Maybe this is clear.
That's going to be something, huh? Sorry.
Good time to be alive for all of this disclosure. It really is.
By the way, Michelle, where's Amelia? Excuse me.
Down with a terrible, terrible bug. And like a cold. And she actually has to go to the doctors tomorrow because she could barely speak. And
oh my God.
And I know. So she's been out. Yeah, we got her last week, and she was down by the weekend. I was like, oh my God. But I was down too. Thankfully for me, I fell between the Christmas break and the New Year's break. So I was able to, we had 2 live shows that I was able to participate in. So,
wow.
Yes, but I know she's listening.
Hi, Amelia.
No, she is. She's listening. She does listen in. And I know she doesn't like missing when you're on. So there we go. My mic sounds low. I don't know why that sounds low. Coming in and out. I have absolutely no idea. Dang. Oh, do I sound low to you, Constance? I don't sound
No, I hear you really well. You're loud and clear.
Wow. Okay, good. Maybe, I don't know, guys. Crank up your volume. I don't know. Doing my best. Okay. So there we go.
Well, I hope they can hear me, because it would be bad if they couldn't hear.
We can hear you loud and clear. That's fine too.
All right.
There we are. Good. Okay.
Shall I prattle on if you want to ask any question?
Yeah, well, there's some comments up here that I will come into. The first one here, which is Wayne, and he says, I think the hollowing factor began as the Earth cooled and water opened up those initial cavities. From there, these were opened further by maybe other beings that lived and visited the planet. Because we know we're not the first kick at the can, right? So that's a for sure. great amounts of water under the earth. There has to be a vast underground lakes and even oceans. We know they found a freshwater lake under Antarctica. When you look at old maps of Antarctica, you know it was definitely all there, right? What would light it up? When we're talking about the mountain ranges and everything inside the earth, what would light it up?
Okay, that's where I was going to go next.
Perfect.
I guess we are right.
Yeah.
So, a sun in inner Earth. You know, I was looking at some comments online the other day where somebody was saying, "Oh, they lost me at sun inside the Earth." You know how big a sun is?
Yeah, I know.
That's another misnomer.
That's true. That's, how can you logically put that in there? People can't get their head around that.
Yeah, it's they just shouldn't say sun. So there is believed to be a source of power that some refer to as a sun, but it's not. We can only speculate when it comes to this power source, but so there have been some theories, and people who have gone have, said they saw X, Y, and Z. Anyway, I'll get into that. Inner Earth proponents.
Perfect.
Inner Earth proponents believe that some sort of power source is located there that produces life-sustaining energy. Mm-hmm. So I was watching, I don't know if you're familiar with this gentleman named Richard Syrett, Syrett. Okay, so on the Conspiracy Show, he was hosting in an episode titled "The Earth May Be Hollow: A Journey Inside." He interviewed Brooks Agnew. I don't know if you know who he is, but he is a very famous researcher, and he goes out and investigates these things. I've never gone looking for an opening to inner Earth, but I'm very respectful and give credit to the people who do. He said inside the planet, from what he understands, we probably don't have a fusion source of light like we have here. It's probably a very hot iron core, like one solid iron crystal. And if that's so, and it's anywhere around 5,000 degrees, it's probably glowing white hot. And if it's glowing white hot, it's a source of light.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And can I validate that? There's a lot of people who do energy work. I'm an energy worker. I do, planetary stuff. Some of the people I've worked with have actually said, well, we're going to draw energy. Energy workers believe that they draw energy from what's called the Great Crystal, which is underground towards the.
Wow.
And remote viewers have also seen this. See, there we go. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So did Admiral Richard Byrd, who claims to have visited inner Earth, and we'll talk about him extensively. Yes. He reported that there's what he called levitated sun, that's made of refractory crystals that are energized by the solar sun. That's what he said.
Yes. Wow. See, so he saw it. There's a lot on Admiral Byrd. That's going to be exceptional when we get there. But there is a light source, because when you talk about, there are other people and witnesses, and we're going to talk about another one of these areas tonight, because I know you and I have touched on that. They do talk about an ecosystem with light that can sustain everything, and light just makes its way into this area, and things are growing, and there's running water moving about. So it's not just like stagnant pools of water here.
That's right. That's Doong.
Yes.
I've got extensive information here on that to go over.
Oh, absolutely. I'll get there.
Could I just give you and I hope I'm not going too fast and
no. You go ahead. I can keep up. Yeah.
Okay. So back to the sun, I have one more quote here. On that same show that I mentioned earlier, Rodney Cliff, who Rodney Clough, who is the author of World Top Secret, Our Earth is Hollow, had this to say. He said the inner sun, they estimate to be about 200 miles in diameter. It generates electromagnetic energy, and it comes out in the form of light and heat that gives life to us and the people inside the earth. So that was his comment on that. So I believe what you were saying, though, that this sun, as they're calling it, is really, the crystals. So to speak. I'm not a scientist. Whatever it is, they've got an energy source there, and it's keeping them going. And it's been there for a very long time. Yeah, and they're obviously happy with it because they're not interested in coming to the surface. So,
Well, well, again, I'd be very, very curious to see. I mean, there are believed to be access points all over the planet that can lead you down into inner Earth. Have you heard about anything like that?
So there are one researcher, I don't know where he got the number, but he said there's about 305 and they're all over the earth. And people don't know that they're there, but they're becoming clearer slowly. And so, yeah, it's not just the North Pole or the South Pole where we've been told that you can access it. You can from there. You can. Byrd did it. He said he did it, yeah. So, but, there's other points. Now, one of those is the one that you've been talking about, the Sun Doong Cave. And that's Sundoong Cave in Vietnam. The opening to this cave, which I believe leads further down, but I don't think that they've thought about that or gone any further. But there was a man who found the opening by accident. And I don't have here how he did it. I think I have it. Yeah. So in 1991, logger Ho Con discovered a mysterious entrance that led to a concealed cave in the mountains, whose entrance was covered with dense jungle foliage. You could see from a distance that the terrain that would take him to the hole consisted of steep cliffs that he simply couldn't traverse, and he turned back. It was almost 20 years later before the cave would be explored, which was accomplished by the British Cave Research Association. It was only then that the true nature of what had been hidden for so long was discovered. What they found was shocking. This hidden cave had a world of its own, is a world of its own, located inside the earth. Now, I've got some data on this, and the reason that I put this cave in the notes, and I'm assuming the reason you, Michelle, are talking about it, is because if we have this, what else is down there? Okay, so this cave is amazing. It's 40 stories high.
Yes.
It's nearly 3 million years old. You walk in there and it's like another world. It's a thriving jungle right beneath the surface. It has its own localized weather system. It has its own ecosystem. It has a rainforest named the Garden of Edam, not Eden. It has a large river, and I've seen, if you go on the internet, you can see pictures of this. This is amazing. It's a huge river in there. And the cave extends through the earth for nearly 6 miles. It runs extremely deep inside the earth. I don't know how deep. Trees and vegetation, obviously. It has the largest stalagmite ever found. It has an abundance of rare limestone pearls. Let's see, it's known for its great beauty. It's a preview of what is to come when we journey even deeper inside the earth. So that, if we have this, so we have found others, and people are going in there and they're just amazed because you wouldn't expect under the dirt to be this beautiful, beautiful place.
And how many are being overlooked because of a forest canopy let's say, how many places like this potentially are getting overlooked by us because we just can't find, the access points because they're just overgrown. But here's a little dark twist to this cave, is that it's believed to be inhabited by reptilians. And this goes back, they're seraphim in appearance. And this goes back to the Kabbalistic teachings. And during the war, the Vietnam War, US soldiers reported seeing these reptilian type beings that walked upright.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. It could be.
I mean, I'm sorry.
If you're where you're not supposed to be, I would think, it could be a problem.
I'm laughing, but I guess, because, I laugh easily. But honestly, it's not very funny. If I came across one, I would not be happy. I thought about, oh, God, should I go over there and visit that? And because I don't know.
A group of people, because British scientists and explorers went in there after the man found something like a couple of decades later, or a decade later. So I think if you go in with a group, Yeah,
but we don't know. We don't get all the stories of what may be happening. That's a thing, and that's pretty serious when it comes to reptilian beings being seen. Mm-hmm. It was so interesting because this morning my brother sent me a video with researcher and author and Andromedon representative Alex Collier. Your audience may Connie, look at this. I have seen this video. My brother's just getting into all this stuff, right?
Oh, a student.
Yeah. Thank God I have someone else to talk to. Anyway, but in that video, Alex Collier was saying that there are a lot of reptilians on the earth and that they're under the ground.
Correct.
And I said, oh, Marcus, it's so interesting you would send that, because I'm talking about that very thing tonight on a podcast.
Well, it's a synchronicity. And I agree with Stone Hobbit. I don't believe that all reptilians are bad. And I believe that just through, communication and such, it's like anything. Good people, not so good people. I think they're slightly outnumbered from what it's been explained to me. But some people, contactees, have had great experience. And other people, it's like, no, not so much. I'm good.
I think it was a show that I did talk about a lady who doesn't know anything about any of this stuff. And she was driving and she came across a reptilian being. For whatever reason, she was, I think, between California and going to Las Vegas. And something happened on the road. Anyway, she came across this being, and she said he was looking at her in a way that made her feel like he wanted her to know he wasn't going to hurt her.
Right.
So I remember that story, and I believe her because, I don't know who she is. She wasn't looking for fame. I don't believe she was making it up. Mm-hmm. And I also heard a story not too long ago, maybe I talked about it last time too, where a guy was in the Home Depot. And it looked like there was probably a reptilian who was camouflaging, and somehow the mask went down or something, and he saw part of it. And this guy was on TikTok, and he looked pretty upset. And he went on and said, this is what I saw. So apparently they're not just always, living in the earth. They may be up here too, the benevolent ones. That's my point. There may be benevolent reptilians, like, I don't know, I couldn't see who that was that said it. There are good and bad probably in all races of beings. But for the most part, I would be weary of them. And they may also not be from all the same group, right?
Yeah.
So, I would be weary of them. And that's my point. Anyway.
It could for sure. Are
the reptilian beings living that are in these caves, are they living in inner earth? Inner earth, the earth is huge. All right. There could be lots of groups down there, lots of cities down there. Fortunately, I've only heard about the good cities. I haven't heard about the cities or the bases of the bad groups, but I'm assuming they're there because it's not just this cave here in Vietnam where they've been seen. There have been soldiers in other places of the world that have come across them in caves.
Yes, I agree. We're going to just get to some comments and questions, if that's okay. Because there's guys, we're going at Constance's pace, so I am putting up your comments and such, and we're going to address them as we go through. Wayne says, huge cliffs, we're backing up a bit, valleys that used to be massive waterfalls under our oceans and lakes. It's true. If you were to drain the oceans, that's a great show, by the way. You get to see where all these canyons are and such. So I don't doubt that, it's very possible that they're below as well. Stone from New Zealand, New Zealand has access to the underground access to Antarctica, is the southernmost continent on Earth, covered in ice and home to the South Pole. So yes, absolutely. Okay, here we go. With all the ancient technology that's been found on Earth, an inner sun would be the least surprising. Yeah, I would agree with you on that as well. Kazan, there's a book called The World of Kalec. It's from the 60s. I don't remember the author, but he also talks about an inner Earth. Very similar idea. So there we go. Thank you for that. Alan wants to know, are caves gateways to inner Earth? Because he happens to live in Kentucky, very close to the Mammoth Cave, which is the longest cave system in the world, apparently. And he's been there.
Are they gateways?
And you're here to talk about it. So,
right?
Yeah. So the Mammoth Cave. So our caves, do you believe, are they entrances into inner Earth?
Yeah, I think that they are. I think I don't know if all of them are, but I certainly, from the stories, and I'm really just dying to get to the really juicy part instead of the boring part about topography. But
Yeah. Right.
According to some of the stories, people have gone through caves and found entrances and gone down into inner Earth. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people end up stumbling on this because sometimes people go wandering. How many stories have you heard where people go wandering into catacombs in Europe and they just go missing? Like the Paris catacombs, especially, this has happened. And there have also been stories where we had a guest on one time, and he and his, his colleague were speaking, and they were told about being in a gentleman who was in a mountain range, and all of a sudden they came across some kind of a blue avian. It sounded by the description like a blue avian. And all of a sudden they were going, he was asked to go through a portal. Like they were in this other place. They somehow ended up in this other place. Maybe the assumption, was it a portal or did they just end up in this other place? And they asked if they wanted to stay. So the one guy said, well, I'm going to stay. And the other guy says, I just have loose ends, but I'll be back because I want to stay too. He was never able to find them again.
He was never able to find the blue avian again.
Or his friend who stayed.
He left.
Back to the same spot. And it was like, so either got turned around, are there these portals or gateways within these cave systems maybe that you just kind of traverse through and then you end up in this whole other location? Maybe they're not all as cut and dry as walking into the mouth of a cave and bam, like in Vietnam, here we are. I tend to wonder maybe if some of that plays a culprit as to why people just they're just gone. They just literally just disappear.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's portals all over the world, in and out of the cave that people are going through, and people disappear a lot. Yes, all the time. It's pretty amazing stuff, and I always hope they're going to good places.
Yes. Wow, it's crazy for sure. So, okay, what do you want to tackle next? And we'll do another little group of comments after we jump on to. What do you want to tackle next?
So it's starting to get better. My next subject was are there cities inside Earth?
Right.
Right. So, Sorry.
That's a big one. A lot.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, yes, I believe there are. Mm-hmm. Do I have evidence? No. Do people call me crazy? Yeah. but that's okay.
You're in good company tonight, Constance. We're all crazy here.
I've come across information on what could be one of the cities, and that would be, of course, Agartha. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but the crystal or the glass city. There are said to be glass or crystal city down there. And also, when it comes to this city, it has advanced technology, which is far superior to ours. Mm-hmm. All right. And I'm just going to go boom, 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 and then we'll talk. According to Dolores Cannon, I don't know, hopefully your audience knows who she was. Mm-hmm. Dolores Cannon, author, researcher, found in her studies that the cities have all kinds of tunnels and transportation systems that link all of them together. Mm-hmm. And she said some of the trains and things down there can go 3,000 miles per hour. So basically, we're talking about a city or cities down there that are superior in our technology. And why would that be? Because they are out of harm's way. Whereas humanity has gone through 5 disasters where, we were almost totally wiped out and had to start over. Whomever is in inner Earth has been continuously progressing and moving forward. Mm-hmm. They were not interrupted. They were protected, being inside the Earth, and they have advanced technology. The question is it only them? Where they come from? Were they extraterrestrials that came in ages ago? Humanoid or human from somewhere else and started down there? Is there more than one group? But anyway, whoever's down there are more advanced than we are.
Yes. I thought I'd put this up while you're talking because we're hitting on some areas. Like, for example, Alan asking about the Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. Look at this thing. There's the Mammoth Cave, and it's got a way in. And then we're looking at the Great Pyramid of Giza. There's a way in.
There's a way in.
Right? There seems to be all kinds of areas here that we are all familiar with in Brazil. There it is. There's all kinds of ways in through Brazil. And here's the sun you're talking about, Constance, right there.
Yeah.
Like it's all it all seems to be right here. Rainbow City, the small entrances. Like you have all kinds of ways in here. All over the world. And here we are. Admiral Byrd made his way in there from the top.
Yeah.
Or is it really see there's this big hole up at the top, and I want to actually show this while we're here, because this apparently I'll show 2 versions, okay, and just so people get an idea of what Constance is talking about when she's making mention of all this stuff. So this is a drawing of it, and then I'll show an image, right? So this apparently is like out in I think Antarctica way, if I'm not mistaken. So let me just get the other image, which would probably be a little bit more 3-dimensional, but I'm sure it's just an AI 3-dimensional. So is this what they are protecting as we move in? Here we go. This apparently is because look at when you looked at the graph of where Admiral Byrd went in. Okay, so we have to assume this is possibly Antarctica, because I'm going to put up the other map again, just so we look at it real quick. Okay, and we look at where he went in. It looks like he went in through a big hole at the top, that hole.
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually put a note here if I can find it. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, okay. That's where it was. So in Antarctica, I don't know what year it was, not just Byrd, there were pilots that flew over the no-fly zone, and there was an emergency. Someone was sick, and they decided to ignore the rule and went anyway. And they said that they saw a hole in the ice at about 200, that was about 200 feet in diameter.
Wow.
The thing was huge. And they said that when they were flying over there, equipment was going haywire, and they decided that it was because of whatever was coming from that hole that was making their equipment act up.
Wow.
So that's the same one. That's the same one, 200, what did I say, miles across in diameter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's something.
Do you think that the inner Earth would share the same poles as above Earth, above ground? That's
I don't
a
know.
good question. That's a curiosity because you're inside. So is it even affected by as
I don't
above,
know.
so below? As above, so below. I don't know.
I don't know. You know, it's these kind of questions and times where I wish I paid more attention in school to my science. Really.
I know.
Really. Never did I dream. I needed more.
We weren't thinking about things like this in school. If we were, well, maybe reading the Lord of the Rings, you get into, I would take that in English, and I'm thinking, the whole Middle Earth thing was just another, fancy maneuvering of what was going on in his mind.
There are people who I think know things, and either they were born with information or they've got guides working with them and giving them information and helping them to do this work and, teach people.
Yes. I like this. In New Zealand, they teach you about inner Earth.
Look at that. Isn't that amazing? They're not keeping it a secret.
Frickin' hell. Amazing. She says, Lord of the Rings came later. Yeah, you got that too, didn't you? New Zealand.
Oh, they're still on
yeah, magnetic poles and physical poles would be different on the surface and in Earth. We don't know. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So, yeah. Okay. Well, that's fascinating. Getting back to this city, which seems to be, I think the possibility is definitely there. I think people are having, they have these experiences and they just you don't know where you are. You don't know, have you physically walked into something, or have you maybe gone into a different dimension? Have you gone through a portal somewhere? People have time slips, and some people have actually reported what it sounds an awful lot like some of the things you're describing right now. So are they just kind of going from up here to down there?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would love to go and visit. I was thinking last night, how can I, what can I do? I could try remote viewing. I'm not a remote viewer. I astral project, and you project into the earth.
Sure you could. Absolutely.
It would be nice to do it.
Yeah, I say do it. You absolutely could. But yeah, I don't think you have to go that far. If you're looking at that map and there's all these ways in, you can just go down to Kentucky and go to Mammoth Caves. Alan says there's 2 ways in.
Okay.
It's on the map.
Yeah.
Go visit the Pyramid of Giza. I was there. I missed out.
Yeah. No, I not just the Pyramid of Giza. I've heard somewhere in my travels that there are holes to inner Earth under several pyramids, almost all of them. But I don't know that there's any truth to that. But that was an interesting. It's all it's stuff that we have to try to put together. When I'm studying these subjects, I hate to be a person that says, oh, no, it's this and it's that, and I know it all, and blah, 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 blah. I think we're all in this together, and I think we have to share and brainstorm and put the pieces together and not say anybody knows everything, So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. I see a lot of people who are all knowing. We're not all knowing. We're all in this together, trying to figure it out.
That's exactly right. And I think we have all of this information, little bits and pieces everywhere. And our job as researchers is trying to put together as much as possible and collaborating with other people. There's so much information, right down to things that are called urban legends. And one example of that, a big one, falls under the Catacombs of Malta. Tons and tons of missing people, apparently have happened there. The most recent was a guy from Germany, and he literally just It was just gone after exploring there. But where the urban legend comes up is that in August of 1940, there was a class trip. There was all these school children that disappeared within a maze below. And at one time, you could walk, from all sorts of different entrances into the catacombs. But after this tragedy happened, the government closed it down. And I found this while we were just talking here. Okay, this is something else because everybody says it's an urban legend. Well, here's this it's an old article. I don't know how legible it actually is. I think you can maybe clean it up. But they obviously they make mention of this years ago. You could walk underground. This is documented somewhere, which looks like it's on some old piece of paper. So is it an urban legend, or did this happen somewhere along the line and you just did not want to, like, this looked like it was in part of a newspaper article because this is, other things being written down here.
So, yeah, I know the story.
Okay. Perfect.
And when I came across it, I didn't hear anything about it being an urban legend. You have to, not you.
They're trying to debunk it, right? So now
they try to debunk everything. And, I have to say, just on a side note, it's getting harder and harder for them, especially with TikTok out there. I think that's why they want to do away with it. I'm seeing things on there that I never talk about to my family. I don't tell them stuff. And there it is on video. And it has been for years. And I'm like, okay. So, but they will try to debunk things to throw people off because they just don't want them to know. They don't want them to panic. They don't want them to worry, but it's just getting harder and harder. So I think the story is real. I saw nothing about it, the information that I came across.
Well, reptilians have been spotted there as well. And apparently the sounds and screams and wails of children could be heard for like the following week or two. Or actually, I'll correct that, for several weeks after. People heard, I had to grab this to be precise. People heard wailing and screaming, wafting up from underground. Despite numerous excavations and searches, they were given up for dead. They were never found. They never found any collapses anywhere. They just don't know. So they closed off everything. There's one area that's open where you can go in, and there's like a visitor center, things like that. It's very controlled, but urban legend. But yet you cannot no longer get into these areas. There's people out there who have photos from being in there. It was all open at one time. Malta is not a big place. Right. So I don't know. So it just goes to show, there's just, and it's the same with Los Angeles, with the lizard, the urban legend of the lizard people under their advanced race of lizard beings, and how I found out about this. And I've got a whole thing on this, almost like a type of journal. But a woman was in her house. Can you imagine, Constance? You're in your house. And you're just doing stuff, and you go to open a closet, and you walk into a room, go to open, your closet, and a reptilian walks out of it, and it walks out the door, looks at her, she looks down, and there's a hole in her closet, and it had come up because they don't have basements there.
Yikes! So the reptilian dug its way up.
It made its way up because they're built over a lot of old tunnels and such, and how it was, there was an explorer. So apparently this specific group of them were created, or they created all of this from an underground city that, again, we talk about cities that was there some 5,000 years ago. And apparently it had all these incalculable riches and gold tablets. Some of the origins of human civilization were carved into them, and they stem back from the Mayan, already related to the whole Mayan culture. Really, you're not that far, right? Coming up from Mexico into Los Angeles, technically.
Right.
And apparently, they went underground, and there's something like 285 tunnels down there. So I don't know, but again, you're getting back into, when I look through this whole report that I found online, some guy went down there and he dug this hole, burrowed down, and ended up in this place. And there's newspaper articles. This isn't just made up. There are
Yeah,
newspaper articles of this. Let me see if I can just pull it up quickly for you. If you don't have this, I will happily
I don't.
send it to you.
I
Uh,
don't have that one about the lady thing in the one in the closet sounds familiar. I don't know where that may have been years ago. It sounds familiar, but I don't have it.
okay,
No.
let me look for, just let me look for this. This is something that I came across just recently. So you're coming in. It's got a whole, here we go. I love this, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, but not what we're talking about. But here it is. This is a newspaper. Lizard People's Catacombs City hunted. Engineers sinks a shaft under Fort Moore Hill to find a maze of tunnels and priceless treasures of legendary inhabitants. You could keep going down. Lizard People's Catacomb. Here we go. This is where he dug, and he was able to do all of this. Like he mapped some of this. There he is. Like it's just lizard people, like they talk about this quite freely.
Wow. I wonder when this was published because I don't think they do that now.
I don't think they. I don't know. I don't think you'd want to. January 20. This is the first newspaper article is January 29th, 1934.
There you go. There you go. They're not going to do that today.
Yeah, and
Everything.
yeah, there's all different dates. January 29th, 1934. It's a whole spread on this. It's crazy. So
Nice.
now it's just like, because the story I told you about the woman, that was fairly recent in the last probably, I'll say 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, there's probably a lot more stuff going on that we don't even hear about. It's not in the newspapers. It's not in the news. Everybody's not running to report it. Everything they see, while they're videos these days. But yeah, so there's probably a lot going on out there. And I would bet that at night in Los Angeles, people may have come across some things, that they're not talking about. I've got too. That kind of makes me a little nervous. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do we want to go from here?
So I want to talk about Dr. Delbert Blair's research on inner Earth. He's had some interesting things to say. I have to read a little bit. I hope I'm not too boring. So he was an esteemed researcher and mathematician, Delbert Blair. He was from Detroit. He used to give lectures on the inner Earth and other topics, much like you and I do. But anyway, in a July 17th, 1998 presentation on Inner Earth World, he stated, "The world within is said to be an area of Earth that they don't talk about. The authorities don't want to talk about it. They know about it, I think, some of them. And that he said, and that there is more livable space inside our planet than on the surface." He says the problem that comes about is that there are creatures or things living down there already and have been for centuries. He says they say that there are cities down there. Some of the cities are no longer inhabitable. Some are actually inhabited. You can go from any continent on our Earth and down somewhere. You start running into one of these tunnels, one of these cities, one of these caves. And he compared the size of one of these tunnels to the city of Detroit. That's huge, stating that some of the tunnels are so large that the city of Detroit can fit in one 4 times. Those are the kinds of areas we're looking at when it comes to what is inside our Earth. In addition, he mentioned rivers flowing, an atmosphere, a standard temperature of 60 degrees, openings on Earth, it was him, up to 305 that are known, creatures that are not found on the surface, and the possibility that there are more layers to the Earth than we have been told, meaning anything could be down there.
And I would think when, people going down there, I think it would go, understatement at centuries. I think you'd have to go thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years, maybe even more. An ice age comes along. They seem to have surpassed that. To put in these big cities that, I have no doubt there are things being discovered that could be 1,000,000 years old, that could be more than that. Like I have found so much research on different things being found. underground, like old mines and things like that, where you're looking at things and things that should be an out of place artifact, and you're like, where did it come from? So, you know,
The question is, obviously, they're there, right?
Mhm.
Why are we not introduced to them?
Well, we're not saying that maybe there's certain people, maybe, I don't think maybe the common folk aren't introduced to them, but
No, I mean, why wouldn't the inner Earth people want to
yeah.
meet these people? And Dolores Cannon addressed this. She
Mhm,
said they don't want to have anything to do with us, from her research.
mhm,
From regressing people back who, either lived there or however she and this doctor, came across this information. She said they don't want to have anything to do with us. They are familiar with what's going on up here. They consider us warring and barbaric, and
mhm.
they're perfectly fine where they are, and they're just not interested. I
I
don't know
could
if that.
see that, but I mean, let's face it. There has to be some kind of communication, and I'll say it because of these two comments. Heidi said there is a lizard lair in the Denver airport in the Catacombs section under the airport, the Denver International Airport, and apparently it's said to have a complete city underneath, going many stories down. Now I know and read of many buildings on good old planet Earth that has entire cities underneath them. A lot of bases you can go down 40 stories easily. Are are they not, while they're, are they infringing on an already a city, like you say, unused? Or have they, have we taken that space over to create a base? Or did we just go in there, create a base and underground cities ourselves, on these underground bases and such, like Area 51, for example, apparently goes down quite a bit. How are we not running into people down there? We're
Well,
going
I
down
mean,
stories upon stories.
right. Right. Maybe they have run into them and we don't have the information. Maybe
Yeah.
there have been fights down there over, turf, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're not told. Or maybe, it's just so vast that they actually hit areas that are not populated. And even more than that, when I'm thinking of inner Earth, I'm thinking that some of these cities are way down, even further than that layer under the Denver airport, where there are bases even 40 stories down.
Mhm.
That they could even go further down, and what we have has no effect on some of those cities down there. So I think there's a lot going on. I think that there are layers. Okay, there's a deep inner Earth, and then there's some that are higher up. The reptilians seem to be everywhere, and I want to get into more creatures eventually than just the reptilians, but they seem to be closer in, and it looks like they may be coming out.
Mhm.
Obviously, from time to time, that lady who bumped into one, there's 2 people who reported that we just talked about, who've talked about 3 that's seen them, and there's a lot of others. I don't have a lot of data on that, but I know that, they've been around.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree on that. We're not the first kick of the can here on planet Earth, without a doubt. So, okay, take it away. Where do you want to go next?
Well, who's down there? Who are these? Is it just reptilians and humanity, or are there other groups? Are there other things that happened in our past? Okay, for example, Dolores Cannon talked about Atlanteans being one group that went down. She believes that when there was that catastrophe with Atlantis, that some went inside the Earth, and they are possibly the ones that continue to grow, because they already had technology. They already had the knowledge of how to do things. Who knows what they took with them, right? And so it could have been Atlantean. Some went to Egypt, but she says that some went into inner Earth all those eons ago.
I resonate with Dolores as well. Yeah, she was very, very accurate.
Yeah, and it was also Miss Cannon who said that she didn't believe that the inner Earth people wanted to have anything to do with us. Yeah, so it could be Atlanteans.
Mhm.
And there's a story, and I guess we can get into some of the stories too. So there's a story so a story about that centers around Blowing Cave.
Mm-hmm.
Blowing Cave is located in Cushman, Arkansas, and it is open to tourists today. But there was an expedition in the 60s, in 1966, where Mr. George White and his friends discovered a opening to the inner Earth, right? So what happened is George White was an admirer, if I get this correct, of the Shaver Mysteries. The Shaver Mysteries at that time was kind of a book series or a magazine series. And there was a man who had discovered the inner Earth civilization. His name was Richard Sharp Shaver. He went in and he came back eventually, and he talked about inner Earth, and he started writing these stories in these books, right? George White wanted to go for himself and see it, so he took some friends in the group, and guess what? They found it. So they went in. 11 people traveled to Arkansas to Blowing Cave. You can look it up. And they discovered an inner Earth city. It wasn't all that easy. I made it sound like they went from boom, boom. No, they had to walk and they had to squeeze.
Yeah.
Squeeze through tunnels and stuff. But eventually they went, they found the steps. They squeezed through this one area, and when they came out, they could see that it was like a man-made foyer. It had smooth walls and a smooth floor.
Mm-hmm.
In this cavern, and then this is where I'm going with this. So they met these people that appeared human, he said, except for they had bluish hue to their skin. And the people told him that they had been allowed to come. Now, I heard this from Richard Byrd and another account, I can't remember it now. They were allowed to come by using a special device. These people had a technology where they could tell what kind of person you are. And it said that all of these people who were trying to come through, all of this 12 people, they let through because they had good hearts. They had good energy, right? Anyway, long story short, they said that they were people who had descendants of people who had come in during the time of a great flood, a great deluge, and that when they went down, there were people already down there, and these people were called the Teros, T-E-R-O-S, and Deros, D-E-R-O-S. That's what they named them. And excuse me, one was a good set and one was a bad, but these people were already down there and they already had technology. So they were saying that they were the descendants who had gone into inner Earth and made a home there because of catastrophe of a flood, and that when they went down, there were already some people down there. So according to them, there are people there, like the Atlanteans, that are descendants from ancient times. Oh, and by the way,
the Lemurians.
Sorry?
The ancient Lemurians, just like they're said to be in Mount Shasta, they don't seem like they're very far from this place. Like, and I wonder if it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always wanted to go to Mount Shasta. I haven't made it, obviously, but.
Well, you wait for me. I'll go with you. I'm dying to get there.
Yes. Okay, let's take a trip together, Michelle.
I am down.
All right. Anyway, the Teros and Demos. Anyway, so that's a story of who could be down there. So the other theories are extraterrestrials that came in that may have been trying to escape a sun-going nova, or exploding or whatever, or escaping their planet, and they came to Earth and they went inside Earth because maybe that's how they lived on the other world, and living inside out and they went inside, or maybe they didn't want to have anything to do with humans. If you go to places like Turkey, for example, has about 200 inner cities that are abandoned, that there's just no way in heck ancient people could have done this with their tools. If you've seen any of these pictures, it's astounding. And there's 200 of them that are linked. So it's believed that these guys, ETs may have come in and done that, and they lived there for a while, and for whatever reason abandoned, and it's been many years, the Earth. So anyway, those are theories of who could be down there. Of course, there are humans that could have been, so Admiral Richard Byrd.
Yes, let's go there. That's a good one.
Admiral Richard Byrd. Do you want to tell that story? And then...
Go ahead.
Well, we're in this together. So basically, where was I? I was saying how, I lost my train of thought.
No, that's not good.
Extraterrestrials. I'm getting it back. It's coming back.
There's a journal, called the Archives and Controversy, the Press and Documentaries, and the Byrd Archives, right? So, of course, the flight was May the 9th, 1996, actually, it was the 70th anniversary of Richard Byrd's flight to the North Pole, right? So he talks about everything and then goes down. I could send you this, Constance. You'd probably find it really, really...
I've got information on him.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
But I was going to say, all right, so he came across, I'll get to a story, but let me just get this out. He came across beings that said they had been living in inner Earth for, for ages and ages and ages, and that they're human. They weren't ETs, they're human, but they had continually been progressing, in there. And, but where they originated, were they human? They came from the surface. I don't think he ever said, this man who he talked to. So Admiral Richard Byrd went to the North Pole. He was assigned an armada, and they were going to investigate, something, but they had to go through the North Pole to do it, to the North Pole. And as he was flying, he, I've heard two different ways that this came about. He was flying over the North Pole, and suddenly he didn't see ice and snow or ice anymore, glaciers anymore. He saw vegetation, he saw greenery, he saw animals, he saw beauty, and it shouldn't have been there, and he was confused. And but on the second, one account says that he actually went into a hole after seeing this, into a hole. But either way, as the story goes, he was flying, and his equipment started going a little bonkers. And on the side of each of him were these two spacecraft, flying saucers, I guess you could say. And they, even though he couldn't work the controls anymore, they apparently had taken control from their ships, and they were communicating with him, and they were friendly, and they escorted him through tunnels, the whole tunnels. And when he came out to a point, he saw a big, what he described as a crystal or glass city. And he was taken to a place. Oh, he loved it. He thought it was, beautiful. The people were nice, and he was taken to see a man that he called the Master. So, who was Richard Byrd? He was a highly respected, and this is what caught my attention, because, I've been trying to decide if the story was real or not. He was a highly respected, decorated, trusted military officer, all right, who allegedly came upon Agartha, while he was flying an airplane. And this occurred in 1947, right? So... let's see, he was contacted by the people. Okay, so he saw a magnificent, shiny crystal city. He interacted with members of the city. According to Byrd, these people are far more advanced than we surface dwellers. And Byrd said he was giving a somber message and warning for those dwelling on the surface from the Master who knew about humanity's troubles. All right, and Byrd supposedly wrote down the events of his experience in a journal. And so I put this in for tonight to tell you guys what, I'll try to make it, I tried to shorten it, but try to.
We have time. We have time. It's okay.
Give you the message from the master.
Okay.
Yeah. So these people have been living inside the earth in this beautiful city called Agartha. This is the same city, guys, that is known as, that has been known in mythology, apparently, but as Agartha, but Byrd came across it. It's a well-known tale about this city in Inner Earth, but he had the privilege of visiting it. It's the same Agartha that the Buddhists talk about, in their description. Everything is the same place. Anyway, so they've been watching humanity on the surface.
What a show.
Getting frustrated and aggravated and annoyed and upset. So he liked Byrd. He knew who Byrd was somehow, and he knew his energy. And he pulled Byrd in, and this is what he told him to come back and tell us. And I've cut it down. He said, our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the flugel rods, the spaceships, to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. We have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity, he said, barbarity. But now we must, for you, learn to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they did not heed. Michelle, we have to ask ourselves, who did they talk to? Who knew about them? They said they came up and talked to us. He says, you, Byrd, have been chosen to be witness here that our world exists, our culture and science are many thousands of years beyond your race. Your race has now reached the point of no return, for there are those among you who would destroy your very world rather than relinquish this power as they know it. In 1945 and afterward, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility. Our fulgurods, I don't know how to say it, were fired upon, yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So he's telling us that they sent spaceships out of Inner Earth here, and that our militaries were shooting at them. And he goes on to say, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury that will not spend itself for many years. This was in 47. He said, there will be no answer in your armies. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude of what is yet to come for your race. And then he says, we here see it clearly with each hour. We see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race. When that time arrives, we shall come forward to help revive your culture and your race. Perhaps by then you will have learned the futility of war and strife, and after that your race will begin anew. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message. Excuse me, I guess I got off camera there. So there are people in Inner Earth, if this story is true, that are watching us make fools of ourselves and be idiots and almost kill ourselves while the people of Inner Earth are living beautifully in a crystal city with flying saucers and technology and telling us they're going to have to come up and help us.
I have to say this because all of this is making me think while you're talking. So Admiral Byrd, of course, had been to Antarctica a few times, and he's probably most well known for Operation High Jump, right? Which was the huge, largest expedition to Antarctica, probably of its time, right? It had like 13 ships and 23 aircrafts, 4,700 military personnel. It was huge. So with that being said, he goes in, he makes contact. Let's fast forward. We know that we have these different countries that have all staked a claim in Antarctica. We know we do not have access as common folk to certain parts of Antarctica. My question is this. I'm dying to hear your thought. You have another race. We're conquerors. Remember that. We can't take care of our own planet. We don't take care of our stuff. We are the worst animal on this planet, in my opinion. Okay, not everybody, but as a species. Okay, not individually, but as a species. So we have all of these people down there hiding whatever. Are these people are we down? Do you think we're down there just learning from these people? Or do you think we're down there stealing technology, trying to negotiate technology? Are we trying to take over these people? What do you think? Because we know they're not going public with it. And why would they be holding this so quiet?
So, Michelle, I got lost a little bit. You're saying that we have people down there?
No. Well, we do have people in Antarctica. This isn't a secret. I mean,
okay.
We have the United States have staked their claim, right? There's a base now. There's a base. We have Russia. We have China. I mean, everybody's got their little piece in there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got
sorry. Yeah. So everybody has staked their claim, like government wise. Why? Why do you think they've been given this message? Because Byrd would have given them the message, and these people have tried to reach out to them. They have technology. They've got saucers. We know they're there, obviously. So why do you think we're all there now, hiding this? Are we trying to steal technology? Do you think we're having a kumbaya, all trying to love and light? Yeah, give us what, like enlighten us? Or do you think maybe we're trying to conquer this place, learn secrets, steal secrets? What do you think we're all doing down there now?
Michelle, I think they have some sort of agreement in place where we give them something and they give us technology.
But do you think this race of being would be doing that? Because they seem to be we're trying to help you. I believe there could be races of beings out there that have things in place. But these guys, they've been keeping to themselves. They're happy. There's no need. They don't need us. They're watching us. They're trying to help us.
They have to me, they would have noble ideas and noble reasons. But I don't believe our people would be.
No.
I see they might think that our people are going to use this for the good. I'm sorry to be pessimistic.
It's true.
Good, but I don't believe that our people would have the good intentions. We've got some good people. I've heard that we've got scientists that are possibly working with extraterrestrials to get medicine, information on medicine and things. But I kind of feel like even with beings that would have these nice intentions to want to help us, would we really use that to help humanity, or would the countries just be, maybe planning to
try to get secrets for themselves? I always look at, if you're coming in and you see a whole race with technology who's better off than you, and you're sending military down there, and you have military down there, that it's not always for good, because people haven't found you in all this time. So I don't think necessarily that we have to worry about outsiders going in. If they do, it's not going to be on a destructive scale, much like the military or all of these world governments coming together. And there was also a story that you may have heard of, and it eludes me at the moment because I didn't prepare it, where there were military planes going in to pick up scientists. And they went into this area to pick them up because they were told they couldn't find a certain area. They went around, came over this big hole, and they picked up these scientists. And when the scientists got on the plane, nobody spoke. They looked like they were distraught that they had seen something that was and they just couldn't speak, and they didn't speak.
I heard that story too. I don't remember where or why or how or what had happened. Yeah, darn it. I can't remember it either.
But it's there. It exists. So were they just told, don't breathe a word? Or what did you see that traumatized you to the point where you're not speaking? Like, you see, there's just so many different things to consider. You have this peaceful race with technology that has been there all this time. They've been observing us, leaving us alone until, we're playing around destroying the planet. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, now we have to say something because we're all in this together at the end of the day. You're above ground. You're going to blow yourselves up. We're not going to be affected. But yet, here you are. So,
Right. But there's a story about Eisenhower having met with extraterrestrials, and the extraterrestrials said to him, if you put down your weapons, we'll give you technology. So, it makes me wonder if that's what's going on now, or again, if, like I said before, if maybe there's some sort of trade-off going on. That could be the trade-off. They don't need anything, but maybe they would like to, get us to put down the weapons, so they're going to give us
a chance.
something. Yeah.
Kazan wants to know your opinion. Do you think it's possible Byrd went into a parallel reality, or do you think this is an actual physical place he went to?
Yeah, I think it is, and I'm going to tell you why. I think that it's not a parallel reality, in my opinion. We're all in this together.
Yes.
So it could be, we're putting the pieces together. But they have, we've seen spaceships or UFOs, spaceships, coming out of volcanoes.
That's true.
Okay, coming out of cavities of mountains.
Yes.
And so it's interesting for me to hear that, Byrd had these experiences with these flying saucers or whatever. And, we have video today of that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think that they're down there. And I think that they can fly. And I think that some of the, not all, but some of the UFOs that we're seeing are coming from inside Earth because they have that technology. And that's probably how they're spying on us. All right. And they're watching. Yeah, it's a thing. And not only are they coming from inner Earth, there may be cavities in the deep waters, that you can go through to also access inner Earth through, going through the caverns that are in the oceans and stuff. So, I think they're coming from inner Earth. I think they're down there. There's so many stories that are similar. Too many coincidences. I don't think everybody's lying and putting things together. So, too many coincidences. They're there and they're watching, and it makes sense. There's also been strange sounds around Earth for many, many years that people can't put their finger on where it's coming from. Some shaking in the Earth. Yeah, we have bases, we have cities down there, but some of this stuff may be coming deeper within. So, I think they're there. I think there's some pretty interesting evidence, if you want to call it that, to look at.
Well, I'm going to give you a little something else. I'm going to just bring something up because I did not know this until today when I was looking through some notes and just trying to verify a few things. So there is a story going back to the 1800s, 1818, I believe, of a man named John Cleve Symes Jr., who was a U.S. Army officer from Cincinnati, devoted his life to promoting. I'm reading from alongnow.org, just so if people want to go find this, okay? So he basically says his claims changed over time because he was devoted his life to promoting his theory on the hollow earth. His claims changed over time, but the thrust of the idea was that the earth was a hollow shell, 800 miles thick and 1,000 miles wide, openings at both of the poles, blah, blah, blah. So he goes on about a lot of different things. What I found was very interesting is that he actually wrote this. 1818, right? April 10th, AD 1818. To all the world, I declare the earth is hollow, inhabitable within, containing a number of solid concentric spheres, one within the other, and that it is open at the poles 12 or 16 degrees. I pledge my life in support of this truth and ready to explore the hollow if the world will support and aid me in undertaking. And then he signs it. So his name of course, Ohio, late captain of infantry. So this is kind of crazy, but this is going the Wayback Machine here. And yeah. So
Yeah, I've heard that name. I don't know much about Sims, but people are trying to prove it. They're even signing
mhm.
affidavits or what have you. And
Yeah.
that's amazing. Can you
Yeah.
send me that,
I will
Michelle?
send you that, and I will send you the article to where I got it as well. So, because I came across this one, what the heck is this? Like, I've never seen this. So it's interesting.
Amazing.
So,
Yeah, I recently come across his name, and I just don't have the information on him. But from what I saw, it looked pretty interesting.
it's
Yeah.
definitely interesting. So I'm just going to go back in. I'm going to move from the bottom up at this point. He says, seems to me messages are all the same. We are doomed if we do not change our ways. It's a shame because a vast majority of us want to live in peace with one another, which I absolutely agree. So that's a big one. And then we've got, hold on, I'm just going to go back up again. Fantastic that we are exploring. Okay, other ones. Hold on. Deep, yeah, cities deep within the oceans as well. I don't believe everything is cut off, but here's an interesting one to me. Why, maybe this is why the Grand Canyon is cut off, and there's sections of it they're under NASA control. Though another urban legend is, the big Buddha that was found there, and all the Egyptian statues and hieroglyphs, and all of a sudden it's barricaded off. You can't go, and people who've tried have been met by armed military because this is now under the control of NASA.
Yeah,
What
something's
the heck
going on.
did they find going in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're down there protecting gold. I
Right.
think that there's something else going on, and it
Yeah.
could have something to do with either, I have heard that they're trying to protect history because it screws up history when you
Hmm.
find artifacts over there that belong, in Asia or whatever, or
Yeah.
Africa. But I should just say Egypt. They found some Egyptian
Yeah.
artifacts, and
Yeah.
uh, but it could be that they know that there are some kind of beings there, and then
I thank you. Yes, I agree with you 100%. Here's a question. Don't you think when ETs from above come to visit, that will also bring out those from inner Earth? Maybe once a planet reaches a certain vibration frequency, maybe then at that point we'll start to, notice a little bit more because we really are the kids who can't play nice in the sandbox.
we really are.
It's like we don't. We
We
don't.
really are,
We're bad. Yeah,
and they're
we're
all
not.
hiding from us.
We're the bullies.
They're all hiding from us, Michelle.
I believe we're the bullies. Um, Stone says in New Zealand, she was talking about the different gates that New Zealand has access to, right? Going into Antarctica. She was, we have winged creatures and three-fingered beings coming through these gates.
Okay. Okay.
I
What do
know.
the being creatures look like? Do they look like what the Mothman, or do they look like gargoyles? Do they look like what do
Yeah,
they look?
right.
I'm
It's a whole other show, Stone. We'll have to bring you on. That's crazy. New Zealand folklore. I love this stuff.
right.
I know. So it's crazy. Wayne says these beings come into our sealed sphere only when needed, and these are seen perhaps as portals, stances, light, strange beings, all which seem to pop in and disappear at will. Maybe are we in a snow globe, a sealed vessel? I like that theory. Imagine if our world, it sounds like an episode of Twilight Zone. Imagine, if you will, our world was nothing more than a snow globe, a sealed vessel that we are watched from outside of the sphere and many beings to see how we cope with arranged situations. We're failing miserably, if you ask me.
Yeah, I do think we're being watched.
Yeah.
I think that those in the galaxy are keeping an eye on us for several reasons, and one of them is that they're waiting for us to grow up. So that when it's sorry, do you want to read that?
No, you do it. You go. I can
I'm
put it up.
just going to say they're waiting for us to grow up so we can join the galactic community.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. I think that's one of, many different theories. We're like the kids and we just don't get it, But there are powers that be out there that do and who have been manipulating the situation, in my opinion, for what it's worth, and leaving the rest of us to go, because I don't think the rest of us, they're like, well, you don't need to know because it's, it's national security or international security. You guys aren't ready for it. I think we're more ready than more people think, because there's a lot of experiencers and contactees out there, and including myself, more than ready, more than
So
ready.
I think I agree with you. I think there are a lot of people that are ready, many people, but I've been reading some of the comments online with this whole drone situation going on,
Yeah.
and with the drones and the orbs and other stuff I read.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are not ready. And I
No.
just cannot believe that the people are so close-minded to think that we are the only beings in the universe, intelligent beings in the universe. It just blows my mind.
hmm But I mean, we're also getting, of course, we have to be aware, like Blue Beam, right? Like there's things going on out there, but we're being bombarded with things. It's not just like, oh, hey, the occasional craft coming in and all of us going, oh, all right, we could live with that. No. It's tons of stuff all at one time. And it's like information visual overload. People, I mean, God, it goes from, just a few, like back in November, disclosure. Well, yeah, they're there. Okay, but maybe they're not. To the drones coming out, all of a sudden there's an announcement going, yeah, we're thinking maybe that they're extraterrestrial. Okay, wait, what?
Right.
The
Well,
Pentagon. What? Yeah.
okay, so I talk a lot of, obviously because I've been on your shows for the fourth time, this stuff a lot, and I've always said that the only way we're going to get full disclosure is when everybody on the face of the world, face of the planet understands that we're not alone in the universe. Well, how else are they going to do it? They can't do it slowly. They've tried everything else. They've tried media. They've tried movies. They've tried what I call ground troops, putting them here on Earth to try to educate the people without the people knowing they're talking to an ET.
But a lot of them are. A lot of people are accepting it, but there's just a lot who don't. They just don't see it. Right? They're just not acknowledging it.
Yeah. Can't wait for everybody.
This is what I was going to mention. Dr. Stephen Greer, I was going to mention, has started a podcast literally this week, because he says in the next probably week, whistleblowers are going to start coming forward. And a lot of them are going to do it, I think, on his show.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. Positive signs from UFOs. Yes, I believe we do. Nice to see you, by the way. Glad you made it. So I don't know. Love him or hate him, right? Because he Stephen Greer, I mean, he is Mr. CE5, but I mean, you pay for the experience. You do. You pay for the experience, and it's like a full retreat. I've done it telepathically, just kind of put it out there going blah, blah, and have had experiences, so I mean, I'm okay. Right. So I think that he's slowly been trying, and he's not cheap, but the people who go on his retreats, because one of our hosts here and dear friend Preston Dennett, who's written tons of books on UFOs, went on one of them. He goes, it was pretty incredible. It was really incredible. And he was there as a guest, so he got to experience it from that level. And I was kind of like, okay, because I mean, I'm open-minded, but I'm a researcher too. So I like to check and double check and triple check, my back.
So
any whistleblower takes a chance.
Right. But do we really, at this stage in the game, when you've got so many people, coming forward that say I've had ET contact, I've met ETs, they've got books out there, they've got, all kinds of experiences. I wrote this book that goes, back to ancient times of ET experiences. We don't really need the government to tell us for us to believe or understand that we're not alone in the universe. I don't need to wait for disclosure,
right,
to know. I can do my own research. I've had my own, little experiences, but I don't really need them to convince me. We have enough evidence without them saying, okay, well, this is what we have. Here are the bodies. There's more than just gray aliens
Oh,
in the universe. They've got these bodies, I guess, of gray aliens. But there's more out there. There's more going on. There are people who have had their first contact. We don't need to wait for a disclosure to understand that we're not alone in the universe. When we're seeing, some people believe that the orbs that we're seeing in the skies, that they're trying to let us know. I don't know, of course, that that's what they're doing, but that they're trying to let us know that they're there. Some of the mainstream news won't talk about they won't talk about the orbs. They only talk about the drones, but that the orbs are there to let us know. If that's the case, then they're doing it. They have been doing it. We don't need our government or anybody else to tell us that they exist. They exist. So you don't have to sit back and wait for the news. Just do your own research. If you want to call them down. If you want to have,
I think it's for people who aren't aware. Not everybody is aware that they're an experiencer. Not everybody, or maybe they're just not an experiencer. So you don't know. And I think that society, government, aka military, I think they did their job by instilling fear. So that's why people are fighting it. So I think you need to have people coming forward and saying, okay, look, for those, we as experiencers who've had experiences, you don't need to tell us. We are fully like, no, we got pictures, okay? People are saying we're capturing these things. Everybody's got a camera phone. We're seeing things. The key is, are we seeing them or are we seeing some of ours? Because reverse engineering, back engineering, they're getting pretty good with it, and they've gotten pretty good with it. So I think the whistleblowers come in to look at the masses who, one, are not aware of their experiences or having experiences, to say, look, this is a thing. Here's how you can maybe tell the difference between ours and theirs, for example. But then you have this question. If they're coming out with disclosure now, let's look at everything going on in the world right now, okay? All of a sudden, disclosure, the big one. What is it that they don't want you to pay attention to that they have to come out with this right now? Just saying.
Yeah.
There's things that they're trying to, something big's coming. You've got to know there's something bigger in the background going on. That's all. That's all I could say on that. Because I'll have to put the show in private mode if I go on. So, Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Yeah. Where will it end? What's going to happen in the next few days or the next month? I hear that our incoming president has some information on the Galactic Federation. I've been hearing this for a long time. Is he going to talk about it? Is he going to talk about beings, shouldn't say beings, people inside the Earth and inside the oceans?
Yes.
On the moon. There's a lot going on.
People see, there are witnesses, especially within the Navy, because Joe, our station owner, served on the Nimitz. Right, he's Navy, and he's come right on and said, "Oh no, we had something land on right on board." Right. And we all signed like 25, 30-year NDAs. We didn't all even see it. The Nimitz is notorious for seeing things, like all the time, right? It's always been in the news for that. So they see things not just in the sky, but they see things diving. Shag Harbor. Can we talk about Shag Harbor? Bam, right underwater, and just takes off under the water. I'm sorry, they're everywhere, like you say, coming out of volcanoes, mountains. They're everywhere. So one of the things that I'm doing this year, is putting together different lectures and talks, like this one, coming on and talking about different subjects. I can't just wait until I write a book. Books take a long time to write. So every time I get a book and go on a podcast, I like to talk. You should do a webinar.
A webinar. Oh, maybe. Yeah, there's an idea. Okay, we'll talk about that. You can tell me how to do that. But yeah, so I have this, my last book, I have chapters on so many different things because I wanted to introduce people to all of these topics what's going on in the waters, what's going on, under earth, all of these things. And I couldn't even get it all in one book, but it was like a primer for people who are just learning. And it was very timely with, it came out like, last year, 23. And so it was very timely. I didn't know this stuff was coming, right?
Yeah.
But I'm putting these talks together to talk on these different subjects because I really enjoy talking to people about this information and kind of letting them know about this information and kind of, turning them on to it, right? So I'm putting together these different talks to go on different shows and keep the dialogue going while I write my other books. And I am doing one on the oceans, by the way.
Oh, excellent.
But I mean, I have a lot of information like, on inner earth and in the oceans and more that can all go in that book. So I can still write another book, but I did do chapters on mini chapters.
I think it's wonderful. And what I like about it is we obviously, as the common person, we can't just go into space. We can't just go to the depths of the ocean. But when you're looking at inner earth and you want to explore that, you can traverse to certain parts of the earth, even some of the places we've talked about tonight, and you can look. You have there's something there, like you have a little bit of control over. You can go to, hiking. You can go and see. You can go into the Great Pyramid of Giza. I've done it. You may not be allowed right down in there, but there are places. Mammoth Cave. According to Alan, there's 2 ways in, and people, they let you go there.
Right, and glowing cave.
Yeah, right. See, that's what I mean. Like
Doong cave.
Yeah, you have options. These are places you can actually go and see. And I know that, I've spent time in different parts of the world, and I know that there are places in the world that you can literally just go exploring, like pretty much unattended, because they're just off the beaten path. They're not closed off. And there's a lot of stuff out there that, let's just say it's doable.
It is doable. It is doable.
So I have your website up here, and I'm hoping people will go and check you out. Where can they find all of your books, Constance?
Amazon. It's on Amazon. They're all on Amazon.
There we go.
It has everything, doesn't it?
That's it. Everything's on Amazon, including Constance's books. Oh my God. Well, I really had a great time tonight, and I'm really hoping that we can do it again. You want to compile something? You want to talk, girl? You've come to the right place. We will talk.
Okay, yeah, I do actually, and I will send you a list of my lectures. All right, my lectures. It's my handy dandy new word. It's a podcast, It's not really lecturing, but yeah, I'm putting talks together. So okay, yeah, I will, Michelle.
Okay,
you'll be here for me. It's been great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Constance. So email me.
I will. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Well, everyone, of course, we've come to the end of another really fantastic episode. Constance Victoria, you just have to love her. Thank you, Alan. It honestly, she's wonderful. We're so grateful to have so many amazing guests, which brings me to next week, guys. 3 shows, 3. Okay. You're going to start seeing more of that, at least for the next, couple of weeks, maybe more. Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. Okay, mark your calendars. If you follow and subscribe to our Rumble or YouTube, you will be able to be notified. Here's the thing. It will go live on YouTube. It will not remain on YouTube. These are uncensored shows. Our Tuesday afternoon shows are uncensored or special edition. They don't stay on YouTube. The only place you could catch a rerun is on Rumble. And you might be able to catch, it's still running on X, but only Rumble will you find an actual video of this show. And of course the audio version will go to over 200 sites. You might be able to catch a video somewhere, but not this time. So Tuesday, Beyond, it's under the header. This is how you know it's special edition, Beyond the Outer Realm. We welcome back Micah Dank, and he's he's got things to say, and we don't like just keeping all of our guests subdued. So, he's got things to say. So what I'm going to do before I read off, guys, let me just put this down. Okay. Here's Rumble. Okay. Go find Rumble. Please just subscribe, follow, like us up. We appreciate you. Micah Dank is going to be talking symbols and symbolism. Loads and loads of secrets there. He continues with the research of his dear friend, the late Jordan Maxwell. Anybody who's followed Jordan Maxwell, the man was brilliant. I have followed him. I love his research, and boy, does he hit home. So that's what we're going to do. That is this coming Tuesday, 2 p.m. Wednesday night, much requested open mic. Got a whole array of things in the works. You guys are going to love it. Get in the chat room and let's start jamming about some of this incredible stuff, because it's going to be a good one. Okay. Thursday, I got such good feedback about the rerun we played. I believe it was at Christmas with Peter Panagore. And we are going to be playing. He's going to come back and talk about the very first show, which was the actual NDE that he experienced. It is the most incredible story, which is why I am having him come down as a fan favorite, which he was. He's been on a few times, but there's only one time where he really talks about this incredible NDE that he had up on a mountain. And once we've talked about that, he's going to catch us up on what he's just doing now. He's just an incredible individual. And you guys are going to get to hear it all firsthand, because we have so many more of you now. We just definitely want you guys to hear this story. It's incredible. So guys, have a fantastic weekend. And hopefully we'll see some of you on Tuesday afternoon. Otherwise, we'll see everybody else on Wednesday night. So have a good one. Good night.